All right, all right, all right. We're waiting. Let's see how this works tonight. Hey, Linda. How are you? I was just using my fire torch. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let me clear my lungs here. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Angie's Angles. It is November the 16th in the year of my Lord 2023. We got Linda dialing it in from Virginia. I am Interstatal. So I'm working StreamYard off my phone. Oh, there we go. Lion Woman. Wahoo! We've got 4 people on, but I can't see you all because they think we're in a 7-second delay. So as you come up, let me see if I can do that. All right, I can't do that. Okay. So as you, Scott Tobias is in the house. What's up, brother Scott? How you feeling, buddy? All right, so let me just recap. Hey, Danica. Hey. Most of you know that Barb and I went upstate this past weekend to the Shanley Hotel. It's a renowned haunted hotel up in Ulster County in Napanock. We stopped and tried to do a couple waterfalls on Friday in the afternoon, and we were able to find one that we could gain access. Yes, Scott, I'm doing well. Thank you. Glad to hear you're doing good. So after the whole waterfall hunting, we wound up at the Shanley Hotel for an overnight stay in a haunted hotel. And, I went in there with high expectations, high hopes, open mind. I think for what it was, I think it achieved the level of excitement and suspense. Harold, I am Duo Interstatal. Thank you, Harold. What's going on, brother? So, we went with a group of people. We had about 30 plus people. And when you get that many people, there's a lot of chatter. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of, disturbances other than ghosts because everybody, we're all excited. We're all anxious and antsy and whatnot. I think with a smaller group, it might have been a little bit better. But, Lonnie, we don't want you rowdy, Lonnie. Thank you very much. Mark Brooks, I am trying to statle. So they gave us apparatus. They gave us listening devices. Kevin Elliott, I am quadruple interstatal. Thanks for dialing in, Kev. It was more. Listen, they advertised it. You knew what you were getting yourself into. You knew it was being advertised at a haunted hotel. They try to play it up. I'm not saying that there aren't ghosts there at the Shanley, but sadly enough, I didn't experience it. I was hoping, although there is one caveat that I do have to tell you I think is pretty funny. So we stayed in Rosie's room. Me and Barb stayed in Rosie's room. It was about a 3-year-old girl who passed away back in the day in the late 1800s, who fell down a water well and died. And that was her room. Hey, Tom, nice to see you, Tom, dialing in from Smoke Therapy, 215 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York. Come on down. The place is packed, I tell you. There's no room for even a ghost, if you know what I mean. So we stayed in Rosie's room, and they had dolls on the wall and little girl toys on the bed. And in the middle, we went to bed. It was a late night. Barb and I probably got hey, Clark, I am quintuple intestado, baby. So Bob and I went to bed about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I must have woke up somewhere in the middle of the night. But I didn't open my eyes. I fell asleep with no problem. And I woke up and I kept my eyes shut because I didn't want to see if there was anything in the room. I wanted to go to sleep. And if I opened my eyes and saw a ghost, I knew I wouldn't sleep anymore. So I just kept my eyes shut. Oh, I just was giving myself a little, I don't know, a little, I guess, so a safety net, if you will. So that recaps our weekend. It was very nice. We stopped at at Sleepy Hollow on the way back. We saw Washington Irving's grave, the author of The Headless Horseman, as we all know. His grave was a little unremarkable. A big plot with a little headstone. Others had mausoleums, which were very impressive, built into the ground. Very, very impressive. Big, 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 big cemetery in Sleepy Hollow. Huge. Blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. It was very surprising to see how big the cemetery was. Anyway, so that's a recap of our haunted weekend up in Napanoch, New York. So something interesting happened today in the world of Major League Baseball. Let's just jump right into it. For those that don't know, you might be surprised, but for those that do, I'm gonna explain my. I don't know if anybody was able to watch my April 2nd, 2021 podcast when Major League Baseball and the Infinite Wisdom decided to pull the All-Star game from Atlanta, Georgia, due to the outcry of one Stacey Abrams and Joe Biden saying that the laws were racist and it suppressed African-American votes. I did an emergency podcast condemning Major League Baseball for jumping into the political arena. It's bad enough that they're in bed with Nike. Yes, Clark, absolutely. And that was the year that they were honoring Hank Aaron, who broke Babe Ruth's record in Fulton County Stadium. So what did they wind up doing? They moved it out of Atlanta and dropped it in Colorado that had no association with Hank Aaron at all. Zero. Anyway, it was just announced today that Atlanta, Georgia is getting the 2025 All-Star game. And let you know a little secret. Nothing changed with the voting laws in Georgia. They're the same laws that exist in 2021 as they do today. So I don't understand, why is Major League Baseball today saying it's okay? And I'm going to tell you why. Because Stacey Abrams has been proven to be a fraud. And Joe Biden's popularity is in all-time garbage level. So those two powers that were powerful in 2021 don't have a voice anymore. And Major League Baseball should be ashamed of themselves. Thank you, Clark. Yeah. and let me tell you something. That was a sham what happened in 2021. And I covered it. I covered it extensively on Angie's Angles. Harold, when was the last time Wrigley had an All-Star game? Can you give me that information? That'd be interesting. Yeah, Mark, I posted it on my page. I reposted it, so it should be fresh. You should be able to find it. Hey, James Krause is in the house. Mark, after this, I'll send it to you. I'll tag you in the podcast. I'll tag you and I'll send you the April 2nd, 2021 podcast. It's very interesting watching. Really, Harold, it's been the 90s since they've had it. I'm very surprised. Wrigley should get it again. So, it was brought to my attention that something interesting happened, and I kind of alluded to this. And if the information that was fed to me today that'll remain anonymous, if it's accurate, I have my finger on the pulse. We just announced Carlos Mendoza as the manager on Tuesday. We had the press conference on Tuesday. I know. Carlos Mendoza, who? That's what I keep trying to say. But I said prior to the press conference, and if you watched last week's podcast, I'm like, can anybody tell me when the press conference is going to be held? Anybody? They announced it on a Monday. They announced it on last month, not this past month, 2 Mondays ago, that they hired Carlos Mendoza. Yet it took them a week and a day to have a press conference. And I said this last Thursday. I said, don't be surprised if you hear that David Ross is the new manager for the New York Mets. Because what Chicago and Craig Counsell did to Ross is unacceptable in my book. They announced a new manager and Counsell without telling Ross he was fired. It's absolutely Bush League. So I was hoping that Ross would take the New York Mets job, but apparently they spoke to him, they interviewed him, and he declined the job. For what reasons, I'm not really clear. Yeah, Clark, that's horrible if that's their way. I mean, Harold, is that normal? Jed Hoyer, is that his MO? Because if it is, that's really dirty. That's really, really bad. It's bad optics. It's just as bad optics, and I'm not gonna be blind to my New York Mets. It's absolutely bad optics when we're hiring a Yankee first-time manager ever from the Skankies. I mean, what was the sense of firing Buck Showalter, who you still owed some money to? He's got 1 more year on the contract. Wouldn't it have been wiser to bring in Mendoza if that was your desire? Let him be his bench coach. Let him be Buck's bench coach. Get a year under his belt with the premier manager, one of the premier managers ever to manage the game of baseball. I know Kevin Elliott. I know. Okay, I know. You don't like Buck Showalter. But you're on record as saying you'd rather have Buck than Carlos Mendoza. So if we were going to take a rookie manager in the spotlight of New York and on the Mets, why not ease him into that position? Give him a year under the belt of Showalter. And then maybe the roles could have reversed. Mendoza becomes manager and Buck is his bench coach. Why wouldn't that have worked? I don't know. But here's the problem that I want to bring up. David Stearns is really... My initial feel about David Stearns is not warm and fuzzy. I got to be honest with you. I think he looks a little lost in the headlights of New York City. The spotlight in New York City, I think he looks like a little deer caught in the headlights. And he's a Harvard-educated kid, and he knows how to count the beans. But I'm not really sure if he has it in his gut how to assess people or players. Me, Kevin, and my friend Alan, we were having a discussion, separately because they don't talk to each other. It's just me talking to Kevin, me talking to Alan, about how the Mets should hire positions that they've been fans of the New York Mets. Because as a fan, you know the Mets better than anybody else. You're watching the Mets day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. We know when the guy's swing is off because we're watching it 24/7. We're honed in on it. We know when the pitcher's got a dead arm period. We know these things as fans. Yeah, Kevin. I know you said he was shocked. So like I said last week, David Stearns thought him and Counsell were like this, like the toy maker, when in reality they were like this. Yeah, I wouldn't mind David Ross, Harold, as the New York Met manager. But alas, we're left with one Carlos Mendoza for whatever reason. I don't get it. I'm really not understanding this. By the way, shout out to StreamYard. This is my second week on using StreamYard. I thought I had my laptop. I'm not, so I'm broadcasting off my phone, which is working just fine from my understanding. I don't think anybody's having any issues. Uh, you can catch me on YouTube, Facebook, or X, formerly known as Twitter. So I'm broadcasting to three. Hey, Jeremy, what's going on, pal? I am 6 times interstate, oh, baby. Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate you. Clark, you need to talk to Harold. Yeah, you want Rossi in St. Louis, and maybe that's going to happen for you, Clark. Anybody but Ollie. Right? So that's funny. So for those joining us late, we covered that Atlanta, Georgia is finally getting the All-Star game that they were supposed to have back in 2021. They're getting it 4 years later. They're going to be awarded it in 2025. As if Carlos Mendoza wasn't bad enough to come in the Met dugout. Hot and heavy rumors have Willie Randolph as his bench coach. Folks, I got to tell you, for those that know, I got a little bum ticker. Gives me some troubles once in a while. I really don't know how much this Hawk could take having two skankies in the freaking Met dugout. I don't know how much it could take. I really don't. I mean, God, bad enough that I got to suck it up and accept Carlos Mendoza. But you got to bring back Willie Randolph. That didn't work out the first time. It ain't going to work out the second time. For God's sakes, I don't understand. I really don't understand. So, finally, President Joe Biden did something that I can stand behind. He actually called President Xi a dictator, much to the chagrin of our Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. Anthony. I don't think there's an H in his name. It's Anthony Blinken. As soon as Biden called Xi a dictator, Blinken was like, "Oh no, cut it." Oh, it makes for good television. I got to tell you something. It really does. That's some funny stuff. Yeah, Clark, having two skankies in my dugout. I'm telling you, I don't know. This heart of mine will take much more than that. And if we don't sign Pete Alonso, and unless Pete Alonso's asking for the moon, and even I have my line in the sand with Pete Alonso, I'm on record as saying 8 years, $260 million. That gets it done. And if Pete says no, then we say bye. Because 8 years, 260 makes him the highest paid first baseman in the history of baseball. It's a good number. 8 years puts Pete at around 37 years old. In his eighth year. Pete Alonso's a beast at the plate. He's got power. Hey, Terry, thanks for joining us, honey. I appreciate you. Don't worry about it. You'll have to watch the rewind a little bit. So we're at the 8:48 mark. Let's get into it. I didn't hear from any of you for anybody that had any additions. So if you want to do it live, just add the prayer circle name or group or issue that you want to put on there. This week's prayer circle, as always, we're going to include Dawn Squared for Harold, his wife, and his co-worker. Mark Brooks, we're praying for your daughter, Dominique, your dad, and, of course, yourself, Mark. And you got to give us an update on all three statuses. Scott, your wife and mom, and you were kind enough to share that your mom's in a better place. She's doing better. She's doing well, so we appreciate that. Clark, we got your brother-in-law, Bradley, in our prayers for his continued success reports from the doctors, etc. Kevin Elliott, your health challenges and your doctor appointments coming up this week. The Krause family, Aubrey, continued remission with your battle with cancer. Linda Stein, let's pray for your dad as he goes through his health challenges. Mr. McGowan, sir, always front and center, my friend. We are praying for you hard. Deb and Lee down in Maryland, we got you covered, Lee. My sister, my nieces Natalie, Caroline, and Ava, as you face a struggle these coming weeks with Thanksgiving and Christmas without your husband, your dad, and my brother-in-law Chuck, we are here for you. And Patty, you and I have spoken, so we pray for you guys. Bob and family, I know this is going to be a hard Thanksgiving. It'll be the first without your dad sitting at the other end of the table and carving the turkey. We're going to miss him greatly at Thanksgiving and Christmas. My friend Tom in the Smoke Therapy Lounge, his friend Paul battling cancer. Fred from the Smoke Lounge, his sister Jackie who had valve surgery. My cousin John, Charlie, and Joey on the loss of their mom, my Aunt Frida, roughly a week and a half ago. We're praying for you guys. And this is something I know I really don't do. I really don't do because I don't know why I don't do it. I'm going to include myself because I'm okay. Everything is good with me. But currently I'll be going under the knife to fuse some more cervical discs in my neck. December 21st. It's going to be the same doctor that did my past 2 operations on my neck. So I feel I'm in really, really great hands. But I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you guys to say a prayer for me. Because as we all get older and my underlying heart and diabetes issues, anytime you go under the knife, it's a dicey situation. So I'm a tough kid. I'm looking forward to it because it'll alleviate the pain in my neck. I could probably get rid of a couple other people in my world to be pain-free in my neck. That's a joke. But yeah, so I thank you so much, Terry. Thank you guys. So that concludes our prayer group. We're at the 8:52 mark. If you get a chance, go and watch that April 2nd podcast that I did in 2021. I thought I laid my argument out pretty well. And once we found out where it went, so on April 2nd, 2021, we didn't know it was going to Colorado. And part of the problem with pulling it from Atlanta at the last minute, and I did the economic value that the All-Star Game brings to the cities. And on average, for the last 10 years, from 2021 to 2011, the average financial economic hit to that city was in the neighborhood of $75 million. And a lot of the businesses around Truist Park in Atlanta are minority-owned and have African-American employees working those restaurants, hotels, and businesses. When they moved into Colorado, and I vetted this, they were not minority-owned. They were not minority workers. They were about 85 to 90% Caucasian workers. So it just didn't make any sense what MLB and Rob Manfred did. And Harold, we haven't done this in a while, so help me if you will. Rob Manfred hates baseball. Rob Manfred hates baseball. Rob Manfred hates baseball ad nauseum. And now they're talking about reducing it from 20 seconds to 18 seconds with men on base. They're going to shorten the time clock. This is the most ridiculous rule in the history of baseball. For God's sakes. I'm telling you, I am suspect numero uno. If anything sour goes on with Rob Manfred, they're going to dial me up and check my whereabouts, I assure you. Oh, my God. Rob Manfred is Satan personified. Well, he might be the assistant Satan because we all know the real Satan lives down in Florida. If you know, you know. All right, y'all. It's been fun. I didn't go as crazy as I thought I was going to go tonight because last week I think it took me a day and a half to recover my voice. But again, if you have the moment, I posted on my Facebook page, April 2nd. Kevin Elliott, you're not Satan. You know who I speak of, Kevin. Go watch that podcast. It was quite interesting. It was the first and only time that I had a podcast other than Thursday night. So my inaugural podcast actually happened April 1st, 2021. No, Terry, not Palm Beach either. No, Satan lives in Bradenton, Florida. Anyway, go rewatch that podcast, and then you'll understand more of my upsetness. This has been Angie's Angles, come to you live from Smoke Therapy. Good night. God bless. I love you.